Hello there and welcome to the Irish Film London podcast. I'm Niamh Brannigan and I'm joined with the head of Irish Film London, Jerry Maguire. You're back with me this week, Jerry. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, Niamh. You kept the ship sailing without me last time. Thanks for that.
No problem at all. Anytime.
Not that you need me to do a podcast. I'm going to try and go to some London Film Festival stuff this week and next week, whenever it's on. There's a couple of cool things I'm interested in seeing. New Pat Collins documentary, The Dance, is on. There's a really good looking industry conversation with Ed Guiney from Element Pictures.
Oh, brilliant.
So I'm going to try and get down to both of them.
I saw the trailer for Wolf as well.
Did you?
Yeah, it looks brilliant.
Okay, I haven't seen that yet. I'm going to go hunt that out.
Do.
I'm going to try and watch the Souvenir. Souvenir to Part 2 is in the festival as well. I'm going to try and catch that.
Oh, brilliant. There's also a lot of new Irish films just being released constantly, which is amazing.
Constantly. Every time we chat, there's like loads of them coming out, which is brilliant.
One film that is released today, now we're a few days ahead of this podcast release, but it is Deadly Cuts, which is today's podcast episode.
Brilliant. Deadly Cuts, as people will probably know, is a comedy set in a hair salon in Dublin. It's your classic sort of ensemble of female characters that have to overcome crazy odds. It is kind of two films in one, as some reviewers have said. It's on the one hand, like they're trying to overcome the problems in their community, and then on the other side, there's this massive like talent show that they go on. It's kind of like, I don't know what would you call it, Strictly style or something?
Yeah, it's quite Strictly Ballroom style. I think it's just it's just an underdog story. I mean, who doesn't love an underdog story?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's hilarious to boot, which always helps for a comedy, I find.
Definitely. And then also Father of the Cyborgs.
Father of the Cyborgs is the other one that's out in cinemas on a Friday, October 8th. So it'll be out by the time people listen to this. Yeah. So it's a documentary about a guy who how can you put this in a way that doesn't sound mad? Because it is mad, but there's a guy who basically was working on ways to support people who are locked in, who have like, debilitating sort of life conditions where they can't really use their bodies, but they're still conscious and thinking and everything. And he was working with ways to use implants to help people to communicate through their brain, like a brain machine interface, basically.
Oh, wow.
And he couldn't advance his research quick enough on his own by just like finding people who themselves or whose families were willing to consent to having this incredibly invasive brain operation done. Yeah. So he did what any sane, respectable scientist would do, and he operated on himself and became a cyborg. Or he didn't operate on himself, like he wasn't quite that mad scientisty, but he he put himself on. He
volunteered as tribute.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, he's got like a ton of he had a ton of stuff in his brain. And there's a load of interviews with him about the process and why he felt it was worth taking the risk. I mean, it's just a crazy story. It's a solid hour documentary that's worth watching. Friday, October 15th in the UK and Ireland finally sees the cinema release of Aract.
I just think that is so cool for an Irish film to be released over in the UK and like in cinemas and such a fantastic one. That's as brilliant. Well. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, I'm really keen to see I'm really keen to see how English audiences respond to it. Like actually kind of for Deadly Cuts as well, because comedies don't travel very well, and I think because it's so how would you describe Deadly Cuts? It's like it's quite Dublin centric humor in a way.
Absolutely, yeah. It's very in the words of Foil Arms and Hog. It's basically in Dublinese. It's not dubbed, but or subtitled, but maybe it should be for some people. Whereas Arrocht is actually technically a foreign language film, and is subtitled.
If you're Berla,
but Deadly Cuts is very Dublinese for sure. But definitely, like, still check it out. Like, it's such a feel good film. But we've got loads of events coming up as well. So Black History Month this month.
Yeah, Black History Month, all of October, obviously. Please check out any local event listings that you have where you are. There's always interesting, informative, educational discussions. We're going to try and have one at Irish Film London. There's a lot we can talk about in the Irish community, about how we share experiences with other immigrant communities in the UK. And I think that there's enough crossover and enough sort of an intersectional conversation that we can have around that to justify us doing that. At Irish Film London, we've been given a wee tiny bit of money by Southwark Council, where we're based, to have an online discussion. And we're going to do that on the 15th of October, which is a Friday. It's just going out on our social media channels, Facebook Live and YouTube Live. It's a discussion with some people like Lorraine Maher of I Am Irish. And then there's a couple of people from an organization based in Brixton called Irish and Jamaican, and they spell it EYE for Irish. So that's Richie and T, and they're an Irish / Jamaican British couple, and they're responsible for those t-shirts and hoodies that you might have seen that say more blacks, more dogs, more Irish.
Yeah, amazing.
So we're going to chat to them about what their experience is of being black and Irish, and use some film clips and just talk about people's experience and how it crosses over. I think, like, if we can build some solidarity through an activity like that, then it's worth doing.
Absolutely. And then as well in October, on the 17th of October, in the London Irish Centre, we have a gorgeous event, which is a screening of the film Song of the Sea. I think it's at 2:00. So I think, and it's a Sunday as well. So
that's right.
What a gorgeous way to spend a Sunday, either with friends or on your own or with family, because the Song of the Sea is just so beautiful. So gorgeous. Definitely have a look at tickets for that.
Oscar nominated animation from Cartoon Saloon, part of their Irish mythology trilogy of Oscar nominated films, which include Secret of Kells and Wolf Walkers, of course. That event is another collaboration we're doing with Conradh na Gaeilge. And as such, we're showing Song of the Sea as Gaeilge, Amran Namara, to give it its Gaelic name. So that's at the London Irish Centre in Camden. Tickets are on sale now. You can go to the IFL website, irishfilmlondon.com, and find those, or check our socials. There's an Eventbrite link for those. There's 20 odd tickets available still at this time. So hopefully people will come down. So we are doing the Irish language audio, but we're doing English subtitles. Right. So yeah, and we've got a deal on for family tickets if you want to come down to that.
Gorgeous. And then while you're on the website buying those tickets, also, see what I did there? Also check out Irish Film From Home. We've got some LGBT shorts with the Liverpool Irish Film Festival.
That's right. So Liverpool Irish Festival. If you happen to be in the Northwest and are a member of the Irish community there, you likely got a catalogue through your door this week gone by for Liverpool Irish Festival. It's a really big cultural festival in Liverpool, and we're really happy to be partnering with them on a little series of short films, which we call London to Liverpool. And we chose 6 LGBT Irish shorts to just coincide with the theme of Liverpool Irish Festival this year. So they're on Irish Film From Home from October 21st until the end of the month. You can watch them all for just £5, and please do check them out.
Definitely. And then lastly, which is very exciting because it's fastly approaching, is the Irish Film Festival London is coming up very soon.
It's coming up soon.
The programme will be announced on the 22nd of October.
22nd of October.
So
which is so close.
It's so close. So definitely keep an eye on our socials for that. And on top of that, you can become a member if you like, and you can get some free tickets, or better yet, if you become a champion, you get free tickets and you get all the kind of the first nods of everything going on, including an invite to the awards, which is in the Irish Embassy in London, which I can say firsthand is a great night. It's a great night out.
Oh yeah.
So
exclusive red carpet event with loads of Irish film celebs that you don't want to miss. That you can't miss. You just can't miss. On October 22nd, all will be revealed for the 10th edition of the Irish Film Festival London. Slightly bricking it because there's so much still to do, and once we announce it, then it's like no backsies. You gotta follow through. You gotta follow through and actually deliver events. Yes,
it's gonna be so much fun, and I think it's like, especially having missed out last year as well, it's just gonna be all the more special for sure. Just a quick note, in case there are small ears around, there is some language used in this episode of the podcast, and just to entice you even more, here's a snippet of the Deadly Cuts trailer. Enjoy!
Pigland's town full of pigs. Hello, Deadly Cuts, this is Michelle. You're late, Chantal.
I had to walk the long way because Dino said that he was going to shave my head.
Oh, for God's sake, Chantal.
I heard that he done it to Laura Martin and her head's like a bleeding Maltese.
No, Dino robs half his takings every morning. Protection, he calls it. Wish his dad had he owes protection.
With the gang escalate, we're knocking down the shops.
Dino's everybody's problem.
What the hell do you think you're doing? Let her go!
Let me! I'll be taking all I can.
Have your money over here, you prick. Murder!
There was, when we left that off the menu the last time. Now, the chicken is served in a skewer, so we stab it through.
I think we'll have just 4 vodkas, thanks, Patsy.
Girls, your hairstyle show. Council isn't one going to shut down shop with an award-winning salon in it.
We have to try it.
Hello and welcome to the Women of Deadly Cuts. I am joined with writer-director Rachel Carey, Angeline Ball, who plays Michelle, Erika Roe, who plays Stacey, Larkin, who plays Gemma, and Shauna Higgins, who plays Chantel. I've got them all here. I feel very, very privileged, the fact I've managed to nail you all down. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and chat to me, because I know when a movie is released, press is absolutely mad. So I really appreciate you squeezing me in. First of all, I do want to say congratulations on an amazing film. And also, you all looked amazing at the premiere the other night. I'd say you all had an absolute ball. So I do want to ask, before we kind of get into the film, what was it like bringing your family and friends and getting to share that experience with them? Because I know it was premiered at Dublin Film Festival last year, but I'd say it was just such a dream to be able to go physically and experience it with everyone together in one room. So what was that like, Rachel, for you to just show what you've created to all your family and friends?
It was crazy. A dream is a good word. I was saying, like, it was a bit of a haze for me the night. Like, I had to get up and speak in front of the crowd, which I wasn't expecting. I spilt a glass of wine all over myself. You know, when you've kind of lost all your social skills a little bit. So there was that, like, there was emerging from the pandemic. And then also it was like, wow, finally, here's Deadly Cuts on the screen. So it was absolutely meant to hear it with a live audience and to feel it in the room for the first time was just, you know, gratifying, I think is the word.
Oh, I'd say it was electric. And Angeline, what was it like then coming back to the hometown for a big premiere?
You know, for me, it always starts at the airport, whoever picks you up, you know, and you just get straight into the banter, like, you know, nice weather and what's it like over there? And it really is kind of like there and here, you know, even though there's not that. Well, the weather's actually the same. But you know, it just is just lovely always to come home. And I don't know, and especially this time of year, I love October. I love kind of Halloween-y weather. And I love that kind of smell of, you know, the peat, if they still have a few fires going in Dublin. So it just reminds me of being home. And yeah, it was nerve-wracking, I have to say, because, you know, no matter what, like to, as Rachel says, in front of a live audience, it can be nerve-wracking in your hometown, can be a bit, but it was just, it transcended, like, because I only saw it on a laptop, and I think we got 2 goes each to watch it on the laptop, but my daughter, she destroyed it. She says, give me it, and like did the laptop, and I missed all the views. I had to actually ask for one more view. So I saw it on a tiny laptop. So it was just amazing to see it on screen and see the lovely girls and done up beautiful. You know, it's just such a proud moment to see Rachel and everybody see our hard work, because we filmed it in around like December. So see our hard work come to fruition, you know, and see it all married together. It's just great.
And Lauren, you would, along with the other girls as well, you'd be usually in theatre as well. So I'd say it was so much fun to be able to bring your family and friends to the cinema this time around.
Very, like, it's quite different, you know, especially because most of my work has been predominantly theatre for the past 10 years. So it's kind of a bit of a transition, and it felt like Angeline was saying, very proud moment being able to bring your folks to something like that, you know. I kind of like, at least now, like, dropping out of midwifery isn't such a big deal for them. Like, at least they got to go to a premiere, you know.
Yeah, something came out of it anyway. Yeah, you can give it up now. You just give up the acting now.
Yeah, exactly.
And Erika,
they'll die happy.
Yeah. Erika, what was it like having all your family and friends there to see on the big screen?
Yeah, it was great, like, with all the family and friends, but we actually never got to see it together either. So I think we were all like a little bit more excited for that. Obviously, I was dying for my mum, my sisters to see it, but I was actually more excited to see it with the girls and get to have that laugh together. And like Lauren said, it's different than bringing them to the theatre or whatever, because everyone was kind of a little bit leery as well. Everyone was giving it all the you, and it was just great to see with all the cast more so. That sounds bad, like, it was obviously great to see it with my family, but I was more delighted to see it with Rachel and the girls, and you know, like, so.
Yeah. And Shauna, was it a bit different? Did you get to watch it when it premiered at the Dublin Film Festival, like from going from at home on a laptop to the cinema?
Yeah, so my family, like, when the Dublin International Film Festival came out, my family actually did a little kind of red carpet in the sitting room downstairs, and they had it up on the telly, and also we watched it on that. But the same thing, you know, there was like people, we were all fucking locked, so there was people drinking, and we were like, oh, pass us that, and so we couldn't really kind of get. I was like telling everyone to shut up, but they couldn't really listen properly. So like getting to see them, like the other night at the premiere, like actually, like my boyfriend, he was like, every time I watch it, something else pops out, and with the audience, everything else is like, it's so funny. He was like, there was bits that I missed at the start. So like listening to them saying that there was, each time they see it, it gets funnier and funnier is obviously great. And like what Erika said, watching it with the cast was so funny as well. That's brilliant. Like,
I've obviously seen it, but I'm already looking forward to going to see it again, because I know, like that as well, I'm gonna pick up more stuff or see more things that I didn't the first time around.
Yes. But Rachel, whippersnappy, you know, with her lines, she's like razor sharp, like lines, and if you blink, you miss them. So it's worth 2 or 3 goes, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone listening, 2 or 3 goes. So let's go right back. So Rachel, where did the inspiration for Deadly Cuts come from? And kind of like, what was the writing process like? Was it pretty straightforward, or did it take a long time before you were kind of happy with the finished product of the script?
Yeah, it definitely took a long time. I think the original idea came about, I knew I wanted to do comedy. I knew I wanted to do young women. I go to the hairdresser a lot. That always makes me sound like a weird, like, that's not weird. It's like for blow dries. No. You know, just, you know, for cheap little blow dries. And just
for research, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's what I was able to say eventually, yeah. So, and I'd always enjoy sitting in, you know, the little local salons and the buzz you get in there. And I kind of realized it was a ripe place for comedy. Now, hairdressing comedy's been done before, obviously, but I sort of thought, you know, it hasn't been done in Dublin, and it's particularly funny here, I think, you know, and it's so familiar to us. So anyway, the original idea was just this sort of elevator pitch of vigilante hairdressers in a working class community. And I pitched that at the Galway Film Festival in 2017, and that's where it got picked up. But I mean, it changed massively from there. I went on such a journey with it. Like I really had to get to the heart of it, I suppose, rather than just the, fun and the comedy aspect, which is kind of the easy part. So I worked really closely with the film board, came on board early enough. I had brilliant producers involved, Alvin Lush and Liz Gill and Ciara Appleby and O'Sullivan Productions. They were brilliant. And everyone just got behind the film. So they really wanted to help. So the writing process, I'd say there was a good 15 drafts, I'd say, and it evolved quite a bit. Some bits never changed. And, but I really had to, and it was my first feature as well. So I really had to kind of find my voice, I suppose. So yeah, it was a long process, I suppose, but worth it.
Absolutely. And like, I know that you've said that you wanted it to be authentic and have the representation of Irish women from these areas, and to have a film full to the brim of such strong female leads was such a joy to watch. And girls, there was such amazing chemistry between all of you, and it really felt like we were just kind of a fly on the wall in a local hair salon where all the girls are mates. So was there much kind of workshopping or spending time together before the shoot, or did it kind of all just naturally fit into place? Erika, if you want to take this one.
Yeah, like me, Shauna, I knew Shauna separately. Like me and Shauna know each other since we were kids. We went to like a National Performing Arts School together, and then me and Lauren had done a show together as well. So we knew each other like individually or whatever. And then I remember the first morning going out to meet Angeline, and I was shitting myself because I was like, oh my God, this is someone I've admired for so long. And I remember me and the girls talking about it. And then obviously the girls would probably tell you more now as well, because the two of them are from Cabra and so is Angeline. But I remember going out to the car when we were being collected and Angeline was there, and I was like, oh my God. But it was like instantly, we all just connected. And I know that sounds very cliche, but we actually genuinely did. Straight away, we just all hit it off. And that was actually the first morning filming, wasn't it? Yeah,
No.
So was it?
Yeah. No, we went out and did like some prep out at the.
Oh, we did the read through.
You did a read through,
read through, yeah.
Wardrobe and stuff, yeah.
And then we had our day at the Glamour Pit.
Yeah. We went down,
what is that? I want to hear about that.
We went down to this place on Maid Street called the Glamour Pit to get our nails done. And yeah, we had a little bonding day, a few glasses of Prosecco as well that day. But it was just an instant thing. Like straight away, we were all just able to have the crack, slagging each other.
That's so nice. Well, it really comes across. And like, Angeline, was that quite daunting then? Well, like one to kind of like that, as we were saying, come home to now do this another kind of really authentic, like quintessentially Irish Dublin film, and then also to come into a group that you don't really know that well yet.
Well, like Erika says, the girls were just absolutely lovely, and they made me feel so welcome. But I think also, if you're a genuine person, and I'm not kind of blowing my own trumpet, but I'm from Cabra, and there's a great saying, you can take the girl out of Cabra, but you can't take Cabra out of the girl, And I think, I always feel that, I've worked in the industry a long time, and, you get to see people acting the idiot, you get to see people acting the diva, you get to see all that, and you kind of look at them and say, that's not me, that's not the way I want for my life or my career or whatever. I was just so excited, and I was delighted actually to see, I hadn't met the girls, and I don't live in Dublin, so like I wouldn't have seen them in theatre or on whatever they've done, but it was just so incredible to see these three extremely talented actresses, extremely lovely girls as well, and just to watch them work, to chat to them. They were filling me in about everything in Dublin, which was wonderful. It was like the 20 years never happened, so that was brilliant. But I think it was just brilliant. Again, it's down to great casting and being authentic. I think if there was one amongst us that wasn't as authentic as the others, I think they'd be out.
Oh yeah, they would have stood out for sure.
Words, put it that way.
And Shauna, Erika was saying there, so you guys did a reading kind of a long time ago, right, for the film?
Yeah, we did it in like 2018.
And so when you guys read this, were you like, I have to be involved in this?
Oh my God, yeah, the two of us sat beside each other, obviously because we knew each other, and the two, like both reading our own lines, like we'd already pre-read the script going into it, and like we were cracked up. And like after it, we walked outside and we were like, we have to get these roles. Like, what? How are we going to do this? Like, how do we get involved in this? Trying to like make up a plan. Well, like, I don't know. The casting agent just called us and we kind of went from there. But we were like trying to like organize, right, how do we get cast in this? What do we do ourselves? Like, as if we have any say in the casting process. Like, but yeah, but from that moment, like we were like, we have to get this. I think we knew, like, because Rachel came up to us at the end. I was like, that was very good and brilliant and all. And we were like, we have this, you know, like in the back. We were like, yeah, great at these roles.
What is it? What is it, like affirmations where you're putting it into the universe?
Yeah,
you
like
know, it's gonna happen.
Manifesting it.
I was saying, sorry, yeah. I was thinking all the nannies and all the mammies would be lighting candles to St. Anthony, or which is the one that whatever.
St. Anthony to find things. St. Anthony helps you find things.
I think you find the role, or I don't know.
It's gas only like
that one
when the girls talk about that, because I was stalking them at the other end. Like, little did we all know, it's like one of those relationships where you're both playing hard to get or something, you know, like nobody.
Yeah. You're like, you fancied me and I fancied you.
I was watching them like online and stuff and going, I hope they don't get cast now and something else. Like visions of, don't tell me like they're after getting cast. And so it's hilarious. We probably should have just opened up about our feelings from the start.
So Rachel was Lauren then just kind of the final piece to the puzzle?
He was, yeah. So we were searching for a Gemma then, and it was like, we have to find someone who's as good as these two and fits with the chemistry. And I'd gone to see Lauren in The Snapper, which you're in as well.
I was blonde at the time.
Right, no wonder I didn't write. So you're another one of the girls.
Yeah.
You're brilliant. It was very good. And I thought Lauren was brilliant. And we'd seen loads of people. And for some reason, I just hadn't brought her in. And then Erika was like, you should really see Lauren. And I was like, yeah, okay. I don't know what it was. Like, I just hadn't seen her in there in the mix. And then she came in and cracked me up. Do you remember that line, Lauren? You won't fit. It was so stupid. Just in the audition, just the way she delivered it, I was in bits. And the three of them got along so well. So the relief, I suppose, is what I felt, because it was a difficult cast and I wanted authentic working class voices and, you know, young women who are brilliant actors and brilliant at comedy. And there's not that many, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think as well, the girls, I think everyone who goes to watch it is going to say, oh yeah, no, I know Stacey, or oh yeah, that person's Gemma, or I'm a Chantel, like all very relatable, or everyone knows at least one kind of one of the girls. And Erika, so like Stacey is like, she's so strong and determined, but she also has this gorgeous kind of side story, which is the relationship with her mother. So kind of chat me through that, because it could be so easy to miss all of that with all of the chaos that's going on around her, but your performance in those moments are so tender and genuine. What was it like kind of dipping in and out of that vulnerable side of Stacey?
You know, the same way that me and Angeline have, like that, or I just remember doing that and I was like, I don't know how to explain this. I suppose like I feel like Stacey is quite like me in a way. I feel like me and like the girls, like we're all quite like your characters to a certain extent. And I don't know, and obviously we were having so much crack in all the different scenes or whatever, but I just remember doing that scene with Angeline and I was like, oh God, like obviously I knew she was vulnerable and all this, but it was when I was doing that scene and I was looking at Angeline, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
It kind of felt for me like it was as if Michelle was definitely on like an equal and a friend of Stacey's, but also a kind of mother figure to the girls as well. And that, I think that scene is so beautiful because although Stacey is so adamant about, you know, and focused on her relationship with her mom who's over in Spain, you know, she kind of does overlook the mother figure that she has right there at home already.
Yeah.
And it just really was really beautiful, and it really complemented Stacey's overall kind of arc. I thought was really, really gorgeous. So I'd say that was such a joy to play.
Yeah, no, it was. And that's actually exactly what it was. It was like that scene, I think she's kind of realizing, oh God, this is what and what I should be like or whatever.
Erika, are you saying as well about like it's so nice because Stacey has been so funny, and you know the way they say funny is a front.
Yeah,
she's been so funny and she's been so brash and she's rough around the edges. Just to see that real vulnerable moment, it pays. It's a real good payoff to see, like, you know, how she's just a little kid who wants to be loved, really, like.
Yeah, she's just looking for approval. That's exactly it, Lauren. Just right, we'll go back and pretend I said all that.
Honestly, I'll be Gemma to your Stacey anytime, okay?
Well, that perfectly brings me on to Lauren. So Lauren, Gemma is kind of the Dr. Phil of the group, and she's the one you go to with your problems, to help you, to chat through things with. And knowing you, which I have the pleasure of knowing you, I can't imagine you had to do too much kind of character searching for that, as you are the queen of listening with a big heart and giving great advice, which is also like is a big hairdresser characteristic, because sometimes you're not only kind of paying for a blow dry, you're paying for a therapy session as well. Like my hairdresser has gotten a lot out of me that I didn't preempt going in to get my hair done, coming out feeling like a new woman inside and out. So Lauren, did you base Gemma off anyone, or did you have anyone in mind, or what was it like playing the role of Gemma?
It was kind of, like the girls were saying, she doesn't feel too far away from me as a person anyway. But no, I didn't base her off anyone. Just that kind of, you know, that hairdresser that you kind of talk to who, like, anything you say is right. So you're like, oh, I could literally say anything and she'd tell me it's right. Like,
yeah.
So just that kind of a thing, like, you know, anything, like, whatever way you're feeling is the right way to be feeling, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I just kind of leaned into that a good bit in terms of the performance of it, or, you know, and all my lines just kind of tried to inject that kind of intention behind it.
And her lovely arc as well of, you know, then kind of pursuing that kind of career of, you know, people and like, you know, that kind of little path that she kind of has as well, I think is a really gorgeous side of Gemma's story.
Yeah, totally. And, you know, it reminds me of as well, like, she probably just grew up and saw that, like, some of the girls around the place become either like hairdressers, beauticians or whatever, and then didn't even think of, like, oh, maybe I'd be good at that, like the talk and, like, talk therapy or whatever it might be. So that's another kind of little win, as well as the big win of, like, getting their jobs kept and, you know, keep the gang and all. I won't say too much.
Absolutely. And yeah, don't give it away. And Shauna Chantal is the one who, she doesn't quite believe in herself, and who's a horrific liar. But when she's in the zone and she knows what she's doing and she's doing what she loves, she's amazing. So what like attracted you to the role of Chantal? Because I love that side of her of, you know, don't come at me when it's what I know and it's what I love. You know, I might have this kind of soft exterior on the outside, but actually inside she's really, really grounded when she's just kind of pushed in the right direction.
Yeah. I suppose what attracted me to her was, like, her naivety. Like, you feel so sorry for her because, like, Stacey gives her a hard time, and obviously, like, I know all the girls are in it are, like, terrified of the gang, but she's getting threatened, and she's, you know, she's kind of the first, he's calling her Squeak because she's afraid of him, and, like, she doesn't want her head being shaved and all. But when it comes to the science of the work, she knows what she's talking about. Like, Stacey's character calling her the nutty professor, you know, like, she is, like, she knows her hairdressing, she knows her colours, but when it comes to being, like, streetwise and bit confrontational, like, that's a no-go area with her. So I suppose her vulnerability and naivety attracted me to her. I just feel so sorry for her, even though I played, like, I know that's me acting,
but I think that's what makes it so satisfying then, when there are those moments of when she just smashes it, you know, because it's in there, it's definitely in there in Chantal, that strong side of her. And I adore that line that she has in the film of It's tricky, but it's possible. And I just think that's such a gorgeous line to kind of represent the movie, and for people to remember that, yeah, it can be hard, but it can happen if you persevere, which is basically Deadly Cuts. Because, I mean, also, who doesn't love an underdog story? Like, what is more satisfying than being able to get an audience to rally behind a group of people and kind of willing them to succeed is just is such a gorgeous thing to have created. But one thing that that popped into my mind while I was watching it, and actually when you were saying, Rachel, there, that you go to the hairdressers quite a lot, is I remember being so outraged over the pandemic when businesses kind of started opening back up again, and hairdressers weren't considered essential businesses, which to people kind of on the outside might seem quite, that would be quite normal. But I remember we would bring my nana, who has Alzheimer's, every week to the hairdressers, and like that, she'd love getting out of the house, feeling good, getting to chat to the ladies and the other customers. And it was like a stimulation for her, along with the fact that she was also actually quite frail, so washing her hair could be quite difficult. So it's actually so much more than just a luxury or a treat yourself, which is so important, which is very important also, a treat yourself. But it is so much more. And I love that in the film you had that mix of young and old customers as well, but it really is that kind of older generation that help create the community. And Angeline, what was it like working with the older ladies in the cast, the kind of customers of the hair salon?
It's funny because I feel as if I kind of straddled like the oldie and the youngie. I was kind of in the middle because I'd worked with Barbara Brennan before, and Helen Jordan, would you believe, many years ago. So I knew Helen, I knew Barbara, and I knew lovely Anne Kent. So they were kind of like, I remember after the read through that they were sitting like having a cup of tea, and I went over and I was chatting to them, and then I went over and chat with the kids, as I call them. But it was just wonderful to see them. And these ladies have a wealth of experience behind them. They've been doing theatre and film for longer than I, and they're just lovely ladies as well. And that was the great thing. There was no diva in there again. Thanks, Rachel. They were just really nice women. And, in fact, lovely Helen Jordan said, well, if you're coming over for Christmas, we have a lovely little holiday place in Portrane. So, win-win.
Not lovely.
It's all, it's moving and grooving in the right direction. I just think they were incredibly kind as well. And just their pace, and lovely Barbara Brennan was fantastic. They all were brilliant, and they added that deeper color to the whole ensemble.
Definitely, they really did enrich the feeling of the kind of hairdresser community. And then speaking about community, I guess, Rachel, what was it like? Where did you guys shoot, and what was it like then with the local community? Was there any local people making any cameos or anything throughout the film?
We shot over in Loughlinstown, which is on the south side, which I didn't know the area at all, actually, but it was kind of perfect. It was so fit for purpose because it had everything just there. It had a hairdresser, it had a chipper, it had the local pub, and we were actually able to just shoot on location in all of those places. So the Loch, what can I say? Like, they really got behind it, I think, the locals, the people in the pub, they kind of got a buzz out of it. Like, Angeline is the celeb coming to town, basically. They're all coming around looking for photographs and everything. So lovely, like your one in the chipper was giving us chips. It was, they were excited about it. I mean, I honestly, in hindsight, I wish it was so busy. We kind of had extras shipped in. I wish we'd had the time to do more to get the locals involved from Loughlinstown, because you'd see them walking through and you're like, that's perfect. That's exactly what should be on camera. But and then we'd be shipping in extras and trying to make them look like they fit in the area. So no, it was good crack, perfect place, and the community were great.
Amazing. Well, speaking about then extras, the competition then that the girls enter, obviously it just looked like such a massive production. So Lauren, what was that like, shooting a kind of a pretend massive, huge kind of hairdressing event with loads of people and the glitz and the glam and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, it was brilliant. We did it in two places. We did a bit of it in the right venue, and then a bit of it. Where was that other place we did, girls?
Over in Kiltearn and in a
ski place, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And so it was so much fun to have the lights and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of people got very sick during that time. We were, I think, 3 weeks into shooting, and practically, I mean, half of the crew and cast were just mowed down with this chest infection or vomiting bug, or it was insane, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, which was really... probably COVID that we didn't know about.
Yeah.
And you can hear it in your lines, Lauren, some of them, you know, like if you know, you can kind of hear your voices a little bit.
You can see it in our eyes as well. Like our eyes are like
there's one bit when you know, when we're waiting to be announced as the finalists, and I saw it on the big screen. I said, my eyes, they look so puffy and sore. But I was like, thank God it was a wide shot. But and like, even people were getting vomiting bugs. Angeline got a chest infection. I had a chest infection. Like, so in the midst of like this kind of like, it was so much fun, and you got Thomas Cainborn coming in, and he was playing like the host, Kevin, and everything. So there was so much fun mixed in with so much sickness.
Well, definitely, but like I wouldn't have had a notion if you didn't say that at all. You all looked fabulous and very healthy.
There was one day though that when we were there, we found a karaoke room, and that was great crack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure the voices weren't gone just because the karaoke, or is the chest infection?
Me and Shauna were up singing our hearts out, didn't think anyone could hear us. And then next of all, the fucking tour day came up and was like, can you shut up? Everyone can hear you downstairs through the bill. And we were like, oh my God.
Because we were up so early, like, because we were getting collected at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. It was like 7:30. And me were getting like, I want to dance. Up in the karaoke room at 7:30 in the morning in full glitz and glam.
That's one way to wake up.
I'm in another karaoke room dying, like dying. I'm lying there like looking on my Instagram, and I'm seeing the two of them like screaming, I will survive, like.
And you did. So I guess we'll kind of chatting about music then as well. I love that it's kind of a predominantly Irish soundtrack. Like you've got Wavering Lingo in there, and then obviously you have TKB doing the amazing DeLogan Does, which was in my head, I'd say, all weekend. And I can just see people. I'm bringing all of my family. We're all going tomorrow night for a night out to go and see it. And I know they're all just going to be dancing in the aisles to that as we walk out. So Rachel, was that a conscious thing that you wanted it to be kind of that Irish that Irish sound?
Yeah, definitely, as much as possible. I mean, I've had a very clear idea of how I wanted the soundtrack to feel in general from very early on. So, and then as much as possible to make that Irish, because the Irish music scene is so amazing, and you know, it's very hard for them to get you know, make money, I suppose, or get featured on things. And so there was so many great, you know, we've got Kneecap in there as well. They feature quite heavily. Wyvern Lingo, who I love, and the lovely Karen came to the premiere. It was really nice to meet her. I'm a big fan of them. And I discovered more Irish artists actually along the way. But what I love is, the vision I always had was to get, there's a little cheer squad who feature in the car park as a bit of a Greek chorus, and they do these cheers. And I worked with the composer Ray Harmon to kind of turn those cheers into a score, which you can kind of hear peppered throughout it. And I absolutely love that. That's probably my favorite part of the whole soundtrack. And you can hear the little girls, and you can hear their Dublin accent coming through. So yeah, it was a huge part for me. So I was delighted, and I'm delighted it showcases more Irish talent.
Absolutely. And where did you find those girls? Because they're incredible. And I also love their little journey as well. That didn't go amiss on me either, how at the beginning they're a bit snipey with each other and whatever, and then by the end I saw it.
You are picking up all those little nuggets. I'm delighted. You know, as a writer, you're like, no. So thank you, I appreciate that. So the girls, so funnily enough, that we were cast, and we had somebody looking for like a dance troupe or a cheer squad or whatever, and the girls sent in a video. And then, as it turned out, Thomas Cainborn, who played Kevin, was, correct me if I'm wrong, Erika, but he had worked with that theatre group. It's the Francesca Arkins.
Thomas went there all through, like when he was growing up.
That's right, yeah. And he'd done a play with them or something as well, hadn't he?
Yeah, 4 of the kids are actually in the Fattest Dancer at St. Bernadette's that we did with Breadline, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So there was, of course, small Dublin, there was a connection there. So so they came along, the kids, fully formed, ready to go. And they were, I have to tell you, the confidence of those kids, I'm so sorry. I've more scenes with them that didn't get in. And I would throw lines at them. What age were they? Like 9? I can't tell kids' age.
I think they're between like 8 and 11 or something like that.
Yeah, and I'd be like, okay, girls, can you just quickly, you two say to each other this, and they literally go, yeah, no problem, and deliver it like so funny, so much sass. They're brilliant. I'd actually love to get them in something again, like really, really talented kids.
Oh, amazing. And so if someone kind of said, for all of you, what's kind of one thing that you will always remember from shooting Deadly Cuts? Was there like any kind of standout moments or standout memories that you remember throughout, Angeline?
Oh, well, for me, it was the night we had to move. I don't know whether I can say dead body, can I?
Yeah, it's in the trailer.
Yeah, more or less.
That night we had to move the dead body. Oh my God. That was, for me, it was the best crack. And then it was kind of going over that edge that you said, oh my God, I have to stop laughing. Because, but that was great. But like, seriously, there were so many like crack up moments. It was just, for me, the best thing was meeting the girls and working with Rachel and just being in it, really. But that was pretty. I remember that. I think I fell down a hole as well. Like just
Thank God that's in that scene is in the dark. I'd say if the lights were on and that we'd all be pissing ourselves. Like, I don't think we got one take of that where we weren't laughing, like tears streaming.
Shauna, what about you? Was yours the same?
Oh yeah, that night was some crack, and it was like 20 to finish as well, so we were like wrecked and we were just crying, laughing, and we couldn't keep a straight face. But that happened a lot. So like, I think, as cliche as it sounds, like my favorite part of it was just the crack we had on set. Like, it was just honestly like the best crack ever. We were constantly laughing, we were constantly getting in trouble for laughing and not being able to hold a straight face. So I think that was it, like just how much fun we had.
And Erika, what about you?
There was one day that we were in, and it was the scene at the very start. We were in Audrey Burke's house doing the Nixer, and the script supervisor was from South Africa. And when like something that's usually said in a Dublin accent is said in another accent, and it just sounds, out of context, it's just a whole different. And I there was a line that I couldn't remember, and the script supervisor said it. Like, what line was it, Rachel?
Oh,
it was something about bollocks or something.
It could have been any of the lines.
It could have been any, and she threw it in. And
plastic surgery, you should have went to Bleeding Beacon. Was it that?
Something like that. But I swear to God, I was pissing myself off. And then I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And I looked over, and JJ, DP, and then Rachel were both pissing themselves laughing as well. And then the whole crap. We just had so many days like that where there was like, we couldn't, there's nearly every day actually.
Yeah.
And Lauren?
All of the above, but also there was a scene at the start of the film where
I was gonna say this.
It gets me every time I watch the film, and it still gets me every time I think of it. When Erika is after coming downstairs from her flat, and she's coming into work or whatever, and she comes by, me and her were having a chat, and then Mrs. Quinn says, a big fuck called Noly Poly. But it was late in the day. It was the last scene we were shooting, and Barbara Brown just said, a big fuck called Roly Poly. And me and Erika, and Barbara as well, she had tears streaming down her face. We had 15 minutes to go. We still hadn't got the scene. And our first AD, Neil, was like, we are not going into overtime. Me and Erika nearly wet ourselves. Couldn't, every time we got to it, then we were going, please, get it out without laughing, get it out without laughing. And we couldn't. We just couldn't get it out.
And we couldn't
then
avoid
eventually-
each other's eye contact either because we were in the mirror. If we looked to the side, they were beside each other. But if we looked in front, it like they were also there. So we were looking down at the ground for so
And as
long.
well, it was one of our first days on set as well. So me and Erika were like, you know, we didn't want to make a bad impression either. Like, so we were going, you stop making me laugh. No, you stop making me laugh. we just couldn't stop laughing. And then eventually Rachel was like, take more or do whatever you need to do to just take
But it's like when you're in school or in like mass or something, and once you're just told you're not allowed to laugh, it just makes everything 10 times worse.
Yeah, or when you're in a rehearsal room and it's like 4 o'clock of the day and everyone just gets the giggles, like, you know.
Oh, I can't wait to see it now tomorrow and have a little clock if I can notice.
I have to sometime, girls, get the rushes out at some stage.
Definitely.
I would pay to just to see what it takes. Yeah,
I cry laughing when I watch that back as well. Like it is.
I'd love to see them.
Yeah, even when we were sitting in the cinema the other night, Lauren, as soon as she said that line, me and you just looked at each other and were like, oh.
And in fairness, the take that was picked in the end in the edit, Rachel, like you hit it very well.
We had to. It was the same when Lindsay, any of Annie's lines, you couldn't stop laughing. Do you remember how much we laughed with them as well?
Yeah.
That was I had to cut around the laughing faces in some of them.
And Rachel, the girls just mentioned there about JJ. Talk about blessed art thou among women. What was it like kind of picking your crew and kind of crewing up, because amazing like DOP and editing and everything like that?
Yeah, so important. And especially because it was my first feature, you know, like I had to kind of surround myself with people who knew what they were doing, but also people who would be supportive. And really it was a kind of a no dickheads policy was kind of a huge part of it, because I think the atmosphere was going to be so important, and I wanted to feel comfortable and work with people who you could have a row with, you know what I mean? I think that's where you want to be, but it's not a big deal. And JJ I knew from commercials, and I knew I liked him, and I knew I liked his work, and he'd done Dublin Old School. He was kind of breaking into features. So I met a couple of people. JJ and I went for a coffee and chatted about it, and he was full of ideas and just really excited about the project. That's kind of what you were looking for as well. And we got on really well. So kind of pretty early on, I was like, great. And you know, we're still good friends, JJ and I, and, you know, I'll definitely work with him again. He's a brilliant DP and just collaborative. And then the people he brought with them were obviously sound as well. And you just kind of, I think when you start to build that kind of a team, it kind of attracts then similar kind of people. I mean, Lindsay Heron, who was head of hair, is just the best in the world, isn't she, girls? Like,
yeah, she really is.
Such a massive job, and you know, she just absolute grafter, but also the crack as well. And you know, everyone truly on that crew was a part of the film and got involved in the messing. And so yeah, it was. I was lucky to find nice people who are also good at what they did.
Amazing. Well, it did really feel like a family from on screen, and I imagine off screen as well, crew wise as well. So Rachel, because as you just said there, it's your first feature, what kind of have you taken away from your first feature, kind of maybe do's and don'ts or big lessons? Or
I'm definitely not shooting outdoors in November, December. I don't know, like so much, Niamh, you know what I mean? Like every day was a school day in a lot of ways. So I think, but I'd say the biggest do's is what I was just talking about. I think casting the right people, both on screen and off, is just going to make your life a hell of a lot easier. And what are we doing this for if we're not going to enjoy it? You know, it's so much work. None of us are getting rich yet. So I think that would be the biggest thing, is just go with your gut and the casting and the people you involve. And then I think, you know, I've just learned, like next time going in, I know more what to expect and how the days run. And, you know, I've learned loads, I think, from it. So yeah, I don't know.
Looking forward to the next one. So
yeah, defo, yeah.
I did want to ask, it popped into my head, if anyone had any bad hairdresser stories. I've heard Erika's face straight off.
Yeah,
I've heard of so many bad stories of, do you remember when you were a student and you might go and get the cheaper haircuts at the hairdressing schools or people who are training or dye jobs or anything like that?
I the morning of my nanny's funeral, right? And now I swear to God, I went down to get my hair done, right? And I don't know. Now this was a good 10 years ago. And I went out, me and my best friend Claire, we went down to get our hair done. And for some reason I decided to get a fringe and my hair dyed red. Right, on the morning of my nanny's funeral, right? So I was sitting there and she cut me hair. It looked like she was at to literally sit in a bowl on top of my head and cutting the whole way around. And at the end, she was like, "Do you like that?" And you know, the usual, "Yeah, that's lovely." I ended up tipping her and all right. And then I came back to the house and the whole family were here ready to go to the church, like for me now. And I walked in the door and everyone just looked and started pissing themselves laughing. And then my little sister goes, "Oh my God, you're the image of Eric Cartman out of South Park." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." Like that was the worst I've ever had. Like,
oh wow.
I tipped her and all, like think I gave her a tenner.
What is it about? Is it an Irish thing where we always go, "Yeah, that's lovely," and we always hate it?
Yeah, like if you were in America, you'd have sued, I'd say. Sorry.
Yeah. Like now I'd never do that. If I wasn't happy with me hair now, I'd be like, "No, change that." Like,
you learned the hard way.
Like definitely.
Angeline, do you have one?
I've loads, but I mean, I can't top that one really. But the only thing that I would say is that one time I came in my hair darker. I decided to have it like low lighted, but it was lovely under the lights in the hairdressers. You know, they kind of sit you under a spotlight, so it looked great. And when I got out, I was on the bus going, "I think it's kind of a green color," and it looked like fake hair. And my mother took one look at me, and obviously because she saw the tears in my eyes, said, "It's lovely. No one would know you. It's like a wig."
Exactly what I was going for. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
But you always have your elastic band with you when you go to hairdress. Well, years ago when you're younger, because you say it's lovely and you smile and you tip them, and then you go towards the bus stop after that like 40-minute blow dry, putting it up in an elastic band and going home crying.
Yeah. And Lauren, what about you? Do you have one?
A couple of years ago, I went in. I was after letting my hair grow real long, and I tend to do that, let it grow real long, and then get it cut up to my shoulder, or kind of, a blunt cut. And I went into a hairdresser's that I don't usually go into in town on Christmas Eve, and I said, I think it's Christmas Eve, and I said, "Would you give me like a blunt cut and like fair and cotton?" And I showed her a picture, and when I got out, I looked like Gail Platt from curling. It was like like wispy. And like like all hanging out here and everything, like at my ears, and she cut it up to my ears. And I was meeting then my husband for breakfast, and then when he saw me, he was like, "Oh, you're such a fright." He said, "It's not that bad, not that bad." And I was like, "I asked for fair and cotton and I got Gail Platt." Like.
And Shauna, what about you?
I don't think I've actually had one from a hairdresser's, thank God, but I cut myself a little number there when I was about 12, a nice little fringe, but I cut it like, I thought it'd be lovely, like, but it looked like a brick on my head, and then it went, anytime I washed it, it was just, sorry, I know this isn't going to come across on a podcast because I'm doing actions with my hand, but it was just like,
just tough out, like.
Yeah, like those little sticky out numbers, and my ma killed me, so I had to wear hairbands for about a year and a half.
Also, Shauna, the brown wig, that was a nice one for you though.
That was nice, yeah.
Before Lindsay Heron styles this wig, she put it on her head and she looked like Coconut Head from Ned's Declassified Skills.
The first picture I have of that, I was like, "Oh, Mother of Jesus," I look like a mushroom. But when you were talking about the little girls from the dance school earlier on, one of the days on set, and I was standing and she was like, "Is that your actual hair?" And I was like, "No, it's not, it's a wig." And she was like, "To say that?" And I was like, "I know, thanks." The confidence over it, and I was like, "Yeah, I know, but like, what can I do?"
I'm so sorry, Shauna. You'll never forgive me for that wig.
I went to see it yesterday again, and my auntie was like, "I actually really like it on your head."
It was nice after she styled it and all. It was gorgeous.
Yeah. Final scene. Gorgeous.
Yeah, it was lovely, but just when you first put it on, I swear to God, she was like, "Oh my God," me and Lauren were like, "It's grand, seriously."
lovely. Just because my face is the shape of a football anyway, so that didn't mean no favours.
Oh, no, it was very. What was it? Your Harry Potter wig?
My Harry Potter wig, yeah.
And Rachel, do you have any bad stories?
From hairdressers? No, I don't have anything really traumatic. I've had the same hairdo for years, so
if it's not broke, don't fix it.
This is it.
Totally, yeah.
Well, I have to say the film is it's so much fun, and it has, my favorite thing about it is that it's got a lot of heart, and I encourage all of our listeners to go and check it out. It's in cinemas now in Ireland and the UK, so have a night out and go and enjoy it. And ladies, thank you so much for coming on to chat to me. Here at Irish Film London, we wish you the best with the journey of Deadly Cuts, and also all of your individual successes in the future. And we look forward to seeing you very soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Thanks, Summer.
And that's it from me here today. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you again to the lovely ladies of Deadly Cuts. I hope you all enjoyed that interview as much as I did. Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and YouTube to keep up to date on all of our events and of course our big upcoming festival. If you enjoy our podcast and everything else we have in store for you guys, do consider becoming a member to support us and to get free access to a lot of great films and to attend exciting events in the very near future. A final thank you to the Irish Emigrant Support Programme and to Culture Ireland, who've been brilliant supporters of ours for years. Gur Míle Mágath. The Irish Film London podcast is produced by me, Niamh Brannigan. We're edited by Owen Bill Cliff, and our theme music is by Kevin MacLeod. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you again soon.